everyone has this doubt, how should I buy a horse?
When the horse is walking in a straight line, it should walk straight. It should not divert from that. I will ask you a question. What brings you to buy a horse? Basic knowledge should be there. What to feed a horse, how to keep a horse, how to groom a horse. Even shoeing is also very mandatory. If a person doesn't have this knowledge and they try to keep it within the four walls, it's not good for the horse either.
So there is this thing called being a good horse rider and being a good horseman.
To be a good horseman, you don't have to be a rider, but to be a good rider, you have to be a good horseman. To give just an introduction, like equestrian is the only sport in Olympics where men and women compete at the same level because it involves a combination of another athlete, which is a horse. We Indians should be very proud of ten pegging. Ten pegging is a sport that evolved in India.
Our native cattle breed, the Kangai breed, is also endangered. Unless we act upon it, we cannot preserve the breed because we lost the purpose. It was used for ploughing. It was
Absolutely.
used for different sport called Jallikattu, and everything is diminishing now. Today we have an interesting guest, Mr. Kaviarasan from Tirupur, Tamil Nadu. He is an expert horseman, equestrian, and many people who are already in the industry, you might have already known him. Did you know that the rare Toofan footages that you see online circulating, the very few footages are taken by him? He was one of the few persons to document Toofan and other legendary horses around the period of 2003, 2004. And we have very few videos of those legendary horses left because of him. He also has a lot of experience riding a different set of breeds from Arab horses, quarter horses. We are going to ask everything about that. We are going to learn what was happening when he rode those horses, what was the horse's behavior, how did it feel to ride those horses, because it is a dream for me and many other people in India who want to experience riding a quarter horse or an Arab. I think it is going to be a very interesting conversation today. We have a lot to learn. He has a lot of things to discuss about the horse culture. How can we make this horse industry profitable? We are going to talk a lot about that. So stay tuned till the end of the conversation. There are a lot of gems hidden in this conversation. I do hope that you get a lot of value as a horse owner or an aspiring horse owner to get a horse today through this conversation. Stay tuned. Hello, Kaviana. How are you?
Good morning, Darshan. I'm fine. How are you?
I'm good.
Excellent.
So I've been following your work a lot. We've been talking for quite some time, for quite some years about horses.
Yeah.
You have a wide knowledge about horses. You've been experiencing different horse cultures. You've been riding lots of horses. You've been into a lot of equestrian sports. And I believe you have a lot to share with us. So for someone who doesn't know you yet, please give an introduction about yourself, about horses.
Yeah. So my name is Kaviarasan, and horses is like to the core of my heart because the reason being we've always had horses for the past 5 generations or so. So
Okay.
my son would be the 6th generation where we have horses. So my father's grandfather, we still have pictures of him having horses, riding and all that. So I think there's something in the gene that brings me to the horses. So even when I was a child, where we used to dream about a lot of things, horses used to come in my dreams and all that. So I don't know how to explain where it started, But however, even though we had horses, there was a point in my life where I had an opportunity to learn riding in a professional way. That's when I started my college. So when in my farm, I used to do bareback riding, spend time with the horse and all that. But there was something in me, that was pushing me to learn more about it. And, joining a proper riding club in Chennai, and it's called Madras Riding School. It used to be called as. And there's a bit of history to that club. That club was started by the British people when they ruled India to train the amateur jockeys to make them race in the race fields, actually.
Okay.
But later on, that became a gentleman riding club where people like you and me can, go join as a member and then learn riding from there and then take it from there. So that was a great opportunity for me. And personally, I was trained by a military person. His name was Ram. He's no more. I'm talking between 2000 to 2004, 26 years back.
Okay. But I've also noticed that you were in different horse sports from show jumping to tent pegging to all other equestrian sports. You've done it all. So can you share with us some of your achievements or your experience with those things?
Yeah. So when we take whatever you mentioned about here, like dressage, tent pegging, dressage, polo, and whatever. So these are different discipline equestrian. So all the sports that come under horses, we call it as equestrian. So these are different disciplines. So, for example, to be a good show jumper, you have to be a good dressage person as well. So what I mean by that is schooling a horse is the same. Doesn't matter what discipline you are in. First of all, the horse has to be supple enough. So wherein there are a set of routines like going down in a 20-meter circle or half pass, full pass, and all that. There are there's a technical stuff to it. So even though if you're a show jumper, you just don't go into the field and then jump a horse. So before you jump the horse, there's so much to do. Even if you look at an athlete who is like a tennis player or a football player, they have to do a lot more out of their court. Like spend time in the gym, have proper diet and other things. So a horse is also just like an athlete. It has to be kept in a proper way. It has to be given rest. It has to be ridden. So it's a horse is just not a thing. A horse is an athlete, like humans.
Okay.
So to give just an introduction, like equestrian is the only sport in Olympics where men and women compete at the same level.
Okay.
So that's an interesting fact. I'm not sure if many of our viewers would know about it. It is the only sport. What I mean by it is equestrian, like show jumping, tent pegging. I mean, tent pegging is not an Olympic sport though. It's still a rural sport, and at a national level they're doing. So dressage, tent peg, show jumping, eventing, vaulting. Vaulting is nothing but doing gymnastics on the horseback.
Okay.
See, these are different disciplines actually what they have in Olympics. So this is the only sport where there's nothing. There's not like male and female. So men and women compete at the same.
You mean both people participate in the same category, unlike in tennis and all, where there is a male dominated tennis and a women version.
Absolutely. This is the only sport because it involves a combination of another athlete, which is a horse. So that's a very interesting fact.
Okay.
Yeah.
So people who are watching this video are mostly aspiring horse owners or existing horse owners and people working in the equestrian industry. But everyone has this doubt, how should I buy a horse? If someone is new or experienced, it doesn't matter. According to you, how should someone look at and buy a horse?
Okay. See, even before you buy a horse, this is my suggestion to anyone who want to come into horses or want to learn riding. See, there are two ways of looking at it. If you just want to learn riding, it's a different thing. You can just go to a riding club where you can join as a member. You can learn riding, and then you know how to ride a horse. So wherever you go for a holiday or whatever, if there is a horse, you can ride it. But then if you feel like you want to pursue or have horses with you, I would personally suggest that you learn a bit more about horses in general. What I mean by that is, you need to understand what a horse is first of all. A horse is just not, for a dog, or it's easy to keep in an apartment and all that.
Yeah.
A horse is a big animal, and I will slightly go back in the history to explain to answer this question. A horse, see, we humans, we domesticated horse in the last 300-400 years or whatever for our purposes, for a requirement and all that. But even before, when humans started using them, they were in the world, living around and all that. Yeah. So they were herd animals. They're not solitary animals. For example, if you look at a tiger or whatever, a tiger is not a herd animal. You can never see tigers in a group. It will always, like a leopard, it will be on its own. But wherein if you see the horses in the wild, they will be in packs actually. So horses are herd animals. Another thing is horses are prey animals. So a predator is nothing but which one hunts, and the prey is nothing but which gets hunted.
Yeah.
So the instinct of horse to save or to protect them from the predators is what makes them unique. So a general instinct of a horse is to run away. And we humans are capitalizing that instinct of running away for our purpose of, taking us to places, for doing sports and all that.
Okay.
So if you look at all of these sports, initially there was not much of a sport actually. The entire world was running under the horsepower. That's why we call it, even today, if you look at Ferrari or whatever, we call it, horsepower. This particular vehicle is so much of horsepower and so on.
Yeah.
So what I mean by that is the entire industry. See, in India, our ancestors used cattle predominantly for agriculture.
Yes.
But if you look at the Western countries like Europe, US, see, US is a different thing. That doesn't have much of a history except for the last 500-600 years. But if you look at Europe, they have a lot of history. That they used to farm or plow the lands using horses. So there was a purpose for the horses to be kept. So even for us, for example, if you look at a local Kangayam breed or whatever, so we had a purpose to keep those.
Definitely.
And when that purpose was not there, when they were replaced by the automobiles and whatnot, so only a set of interested people would have it actually. We humans should understand a little more about the horses even before we buy a horse. So what I mean by that is, to have a horse, it needs a stable, at least a minimum, or a paddock. A paddock is a space where the animal or the horse can move around freely on its own. But if you keep a horse in a stable, they have to be let out in a paddock, or you have to be taken out for a walk or lunging, if not, you have to ride it.
Okay.
So the space constraint is there. So the horse, a horse needs to have a particular space for it to be kept in. And feeding. Feeding is, horses are very sensitive animals. I'll give a very high level. If you look at the bovines or cows, they take the food, they bring back. In Tamil, we call it asapodu. They chew and then they. But horses are not like that. They take the food, it has to digest and come out. So there's a one-way system. So even humans, if we don't, something is not digested, we can vomit. But a horse cannot vomit. So anything that goes into the horse's system has to come out through the anal, as an excretion.
Yes.
So the kind of food that we give should be digestible and easy for the horse to get it out. So naturally, horses for our purpose, we give grains and all that. But if you look in the nature, no grains are given to the horses. They normally graze in the field.
Yeah.
And then that's how it goes out. But then to get the performance out of them, we feed them with grains and all that.
Concentrated feed.
So what the purpose behind explaining this is, a person who's trying to buy a horse should know about all these things: what to feed a horse, how to keep a horse, how to groom a horse. Even shoeing is also very mandatory. Every 30 to 45 days, a horse needs to be shoed, actually, if it is in a regular riding condition.
Okay, but you're saying food, water, shelter, and ample space is needed, and then you can consider buying a horse. This is from a horse's point of view. But as a horse owner, how should I prepare? What should I know before buying a horse?
I will ask you a question. What brings you to buy a horse? Anything you do, there will be purpose behind. There should be an agenda behind why you do it.
Yeah.
So if your agenda is just to have a horse, to see its beauty, run around and all that, that's completely different. You don't have to you have to know much about it. But then if you think that you're going to ride the horse, it's better that you learn riding somewhere, or from someone who's knowledgeable and all that, and then you have a horse. Because a horse needs to be ridden, or even at least worked. We call it lunging, or taking out for a walk, or letting it out in the fields and all that. So these basic knowledge should be there. If a person doesn't have this knowledge and they try to keep it within the four walls, it's not good for the horse either. So it will get into colic, and there's multiple complications that you will face through. Okay. So these basic knowledge is something that someone should know before they buy a horse. And where to buy a horse is also another question what you might have. So first of all, I would say in India, the industry is still not that famous. It's like
or not profitable.
Yes, definitely not. Something will be profitable only when there is a demand for it. So we can create an ecosystem where we can bring that. So yes, in India it's still not profitable. You're right. Still, it's horse industry is predominantly where people earn well in something else, and then they put their money into horses. That's how it goes on.
Just as a passionate industry.
Absolutely, you're right. Got it. Yeah. So that's it.
Okay. So again, could you give us a historical perspective about horses? Once again, you told about how one should buy a horse, but what about understanding what a horse is? How did it evolve? How did it end up with humans? And what is the purpose of owning a horse? So if you give a historical perspective, maybe we could understand it better, no?
That's a wonderful question. First of all, horses will come under something called equus. That's the family name for horses. Even zebras are under horses. There are multiple breeds of horses, actually. If you look into the evolution, horses used to be a miniature animal like a cat. Then over the thousands of years, it evolved, and the modern horse, what we have, is an evolution of what has come through. So again, breeds, the multiple breeds are there and so on.
Yeah.
See, as I told you earlier, humans and horses were at different parts, like how tigers and humans are like, Horses were on their own in the fields and humans were there. But there was at one point where someone tried to sit on it and then make use of it. And then horses were used for transportation, for moving things around and all that. So there was a purpose where the humans started domesticating it. Still, we have lots of wild horses, like, Mustangs are there. Even in Kaviarasan region, we have wild horses, where they were left in the fields and all that. So we humans are capitalizing their, movement, or, they're running around and all that, and we're using it for a purpose. Okay. So going back to that, so we don't have the exact the number of years.
Maybe thousands of years ago
could be, yeah. So what they call it, they started somewhere in the Eurasia, where Europe and Asia were together, and then someone started domesticating it. So
we've been having horses for thousands of years because kings had horses, armies had horses, and large places were conquered with horses. But like you said, before that they were just roaming the grasslands, and somehow we domesticated them. But as you said, they were split into different categories. As you know, hot bloods, warm bloods, and
Yes.
cold bloods.
Yes.
Maybe they evolved naturally, and then humans used that to their advantage. But today they are used for different purposes. A cold blood horse is used for different purpose. A warm blood and a hot blood is
Yes,
used for
you're right.
different
Yeah.
purposes. So can you explain that in detail?
Yeah, definitely. You got it. So the you can divide horses in multiple ways. And one of the way is, as you said, the hot blood, warm blood, and cold blood. So hot blood horses are basically predominantly in areas where the temperature is quite hot, like desert regions, like Arabia. In Rajasthan we have the Marwars, and then you have Akaltiki horses in Turkmenistan and so. So wherever the weather of the place is quite hot, the hot-blooded horses evolved. See, in places where it's too hot, the feed is less, the water is less. So the animal should understand, or should evolve in such a way that they have minimal food, minimal water, and they should survive. So if you look at the frame of a hot blood horse, it will be quite thin. They won't be like bigger like as your warm bloods or even cold blood horses. But if you look in the other way, where the animals in say Europe and all that, where it's cold countries, the animals have to survive through the harsh winters. So their body has to have a level of fat in their body to get through the summer. So naturally, they develop the muscle in them. They're big built, actually.
Bigger body.
Absolutely. Yeah. And they're also used for agriculture purpose, as I told you earlier, like plowing the fields and all that, moving things around and so on. So those horses are typically bigger. So what we call the warm bloods is a modern version of it. So what people started doing is they found that the cold-blooded horses are too big to be ridden, wherein the hot-blooded horses are too hot to be ridden either for sport. See, in sport, you need to have a horse which has the power of a cold blood as well as the agility of a hot blood.
Okay.
So combining or breeding between the hot bloods and cold bloods brings into the warm blood. See, warm bloods are predominantly originated from the European region. So we have Dutch warm bloods, Danish warm bloods, Swedish warm bloods. There's plenty of warm bloods actually. Hanoverians, So all these predominantly Hanoverians, the multiple names. They are all specifically the names of the region. So Hanoverian, Andalusian, Lusitano, all these are multiple regions.
So even warm bloods are naturally evolved, or
no? These are all human bred actually. So in the sense, we humans bred they bred horses in different regions for multiple purpose. For example, if you look, there's something called a saddle-bred horse, which was which did originate from America. So there was a purpose for it actually. So what it is those horses won't run around actually, but they will walk in a pace where people can ride through the fields. So when a horse is going slowly in a walk, it will not disturb the field either. It will not disturb the crop.
Okay.
So each of these breeds, for example, there's something called Akalteki.
Yeah.
Akalteki horses are from South America, basically. That's a combination of Spanish horses, where the Spanish settlers went to South America and then they bred it with the local breed. So they have a different gaits of.
Akalteki, I think, is it Central
I'm
Asian?
sorry, I'm talking about Peruvian Paso. I'm really sorry.
Yeah, okay.
Akalteki is the Turkmenistan. Sorry, excuse me. Okay. I just got lost there. So I'm talking about the Peruvian Paso, which is originated from Peru. Okay. So the Peruvian Paso horses, and there's one more breed actually. I'll give the name actually. It's not coming to my mind.
Okay.
Which has a unique way of moving around.
Okay. Yeah, the Paso horses. That
Peruvian Paso horses. Yeah,
okay,
exactly.
So coming back to buying a horse, now we learned about the historical perspective. We learned what a horse needs when it comes here, like land, water, space, and all, and what a rider needs to, or horse owner needs to prepare and know before buying a horse. Then there is an important thing called the conformation of a horse.
Yes.
According to you, what is a conformation?
See, conformation is a huge topic. Okay, again, conformation is discipline-wise. For example, a horse that is good in racing might not be good in show jumping. A horse that is good in show jumping can be good in dressage also. There's a fine line between that particular two things, which is show jumping and dressage, because basic schooling is the same. But if you look like a quarter horse, as I told you earlier, a quarter horse is specifically bred for a quarter mile race. Where it's like a sprinters, like your Usain Bolt. Basically, you run the first 100 meters and then they stop. But if you look at thoroughbreds, even in thoroughbreds, there are multiple. We call it sprinters and stayers. A sprinter is nothing but which sprints very quickly with a short distance, whereas a stayer is nothing but it goes at a constant speed for a longer distance. That's what it is.
Okay.
So coming back to your question, which is conformation, yes. So for example, if you look at me from a show jumping point of view, there are certain things I would look at. See, so there are basic deformity irrespective of whatever breeds you look at. Say for example, we call it cow hocks. Cow hock is nothing is where the hind legs or the hocks will touch each other. When that is like that, when a horse is moving around, it will disturb the horse's movement.
Yes.
So cow hock should not be there. Again, the shoulder angle is also something that we look in show jumping. So if you, again, this conformation topic can be discussed based on the discipline, but then at a high level I will give you. So for example, a horse should have a good top line muscle, should not have a hollow back. Some horses, when they're born, they have a hollow back. It's a birth deformity. So those horses should not be bred actually, because obviously it will breed another hollow back horse or whatever.
Okay.
So basic conformation is again the way the neck is set, the way the shoulder blades are there, and how the crop is there. The crop should be a nice big rounded crop, because the crop of a horse or the back of the horse is the engine of the horse. That's where the power is from. So when a horse is jumping, it pushes it from the hind and then it goes through the fence and all that. So that should be in a way. So when a horse is walking, when you want to evaluate a horse, you have to make the horse walk in a straight line. Someone has to take the horse in a straight line.
Okay.
So basically, the hind leg should follow the front leg.
Okay.
So we call it toe in and toe out. So if it's toe in, it'll look like a zigzag. Even the toe out will look in a zigzag, but in the other way though. So that should not happen. So the horse should move in a straight line and then go on. So these are basic ways of looking at the conformation. Again, for racing, there's a different set of conformation, which I'm not very familiar about, because I'm not a jockey or whatever.
Yeah, conformation is like a very deep subject.
It's a huge topic.
Very
it's
deep
a very
subject.
huge topic.
But I was just asking, for a general horse lover who loves to buy the first horse, you are saying these are the
basics. Exactly. Yeah. If they can, see, for example, when a horse is walking in a straight line, it should walk straight. It should not divert from that. So these are basic checks what we can do.
Okay. So you were saying that you've been riding Arabs, quarter horses, and different other breeds. I think it is a dream for many horse lovers and equestrians, including me. I've always wanted to ride an Arab or ride a quarter horse, just to experience how it feels compared to a Marwari, which we regularly ride. Yeah. I would love you to share your experience of handling those horses.
See, as I told you earlier, an Arab is another hot-blood horse. So pretty much the traits of an Arab are pretty much similar to our Marwari horses.
Okay.
So they are like, you have to be quite agile even while mounting them, because they're always on fire, They're horses because they are hot blood horses. Wherein if you look at a quarter horse, which you told me, quarter horses again are also very, sprinting horses. They are also fairly fast. But then if you look into the warm bloods, they are like damn cool, They're gentle giants, we call them.
Yeah.
You can easily mount on them. They will just stand like, and then they are like diesel engines. They take time to warm up. A proper warm blood and all that, first 10-15 minutes, you can never see the performance of the horse. But once they are warmed up and they start jumping and all that, it's out of the league. When you jump a fence, I don't think a Marwari can do that. See, Marwaris are built for specific purpose. Marwaris are war horse actually. Predominantly it were used in the wars. Yeah. But then later on we started using for different purpose actually. So again, coming back to the Arabs and
yes. How did it feel?
Yes, exactly. Arab is wonderful. I mean, in my opinion, an Arab and a spirited, well-spirited Marwari are pretty much the same actually. But I had an opportunity to train an Arab when I was in the States in California. Where I rode the horse for about 3 months, I started training for cross country and all that. So it was a wonderful experience.
Did it get attached to you like Marwari does?
Very much. Okay. See, I'll tell you something. These hot-blood horses, if you look, these are pretty much a one-man horse. Predominantly, they are very loyal to the owners.
Yeah.
That's how it is. So if even though dogs are humans' best friend, as they call it, horses are in a different way. Once the horse gets attached to you, they will never forget you. I mean, respect to the number of years you are out of it and all that. So that's something. So all the hot-blood horses, they have that connection with the owners. I mean, not that the warm-bloods don't have it, but they have. But these hot-blood horses have it in a different league. A step higher to what the warm-bloods are.
But coming back to the quarter horses, many say that those horses are very supple to ride. They are very flexible. They can just spin, turn, come forward, go backwards and all that. How was it?
So quarter horses are, again, they're used by the cowboys. So again, this is also built for a purpose. So in the States, they have wide range of or huge spaces where they raise cattle and all that. And these cowboys, basically, they go on the horseback to take them for the fields and then to bring them back to the fields and all that. So the purpose of the horse is to control the herd. So you know how the cows run in a herd.
Yeah.
So the horse should be quite agile. If you look into a lot of these competitions, the kind of things that those quarter horses do, like cutting and all that, none of the other breeds can even think of. Even the movement is so subtle, you would not even think how that horse is moving, what the rider is doing and all that.
Yeah.
Again, a good rider should be in such a way, when a person is riding a horse, you can never see the kind of what do you call cues that you give to the horse. That's how a good riding should be. There should be no pulling, no nothing. An amateur who is looking into this should look as if the horse is doing everything and the rider is just sitting on it, because the cues, as you said, should be so subtle. That's how a good rider should be.
Okay.
When a good rider is riding, you should not feel the rider is separate and the horse is separate. It should look like one entity.
And again, you also mentioned this unique horse sport. Many people are fans of this Rambo movie, where in Afghanistan there are a group of horse riders, and dead goat or goat skin is on the ground, and each one pulls it and gallops with the horse, and everyone else chases. It is a very unique sport, still practiced in places like Afghanistan and Central Asia. And you said you experienced it. How was it?
So as you said, this is a very unique sport, and it used to happen in spaces like Afghanistan and all that. See, wherever there are horses, people make use of it, and for them to have fun and all that. So this particular thing, not only in Afghanistan, even in our Gymkhana events, like when I was riding in Chennai in my riding club, we had something called pricking the handkerchief, it's called. Basically, we will be a bunch of riders, but you have to be a very good rider in this, because you can easily get injured, you can fall off the horse and all that. The concept is very simple. A person, the entire event will happen for about, say, 5 minutes. From the time it starts, and then the last second, whoever holds the kerchief is a winner. So basically, one person will start the show with the kerchief at the back of the shirt or whatever, and then they will start galloping. Say the group of, say, 12 riders or 15 riders, the remaining 11 or 14 will chase the one person, and they will grab the handkerchief from them, and they have to put it on their back, and then they have to gallop. So if you whoever is watching it feel like as if something is happening, it will look like a war scene. People will be chasing each other.
Okay.
They'll be clashing in each other and all that. It's very lively for the viewers, but then it's a very risky sport also. But the kind of adrenaline or the kick you get out of it is something that you can never explain in words. So again, coming to that sport, at the end of the last minute, whoever holds the handkerchief is the winner. So I had an opportunity to experience the sport, and luckily I did win the sport. The last 10 second, I do have some pictures of it. I mean, it was a great event. So
where was this event?
This was in Madras Riding School. So this place is just behind the Gindi Racecourse in Chennai. So it used to be called as Madras Riding School, or MRS. Now we call it Madras School of Equitation, or MSc.
Okay.
Yeah. So,
but that event is not happening anymore.
Well, the space constraint is something. Now the race course in Chennai by itself is gone dormant, because the government is taking over. The lease of 100 years has gone over. And then it looks like they are giving another property somewhere near Hosur, and the race course is supposed to shift there. Okay. But still, the riding school is there. But then every week we used to use the race course, actually, the Chennai race course, to ride the horses, because every Sunday the racing doesn't happen, and you amateur riders, we used to take our horses there. So anyways, coming back to that sport, it is not an easy sport, what you saw, what you explained. Yes, there are in parts of the world, these kind of events. We call it Gymkhana events, actually, to keep, we have to, especially for young children, to not this particular one, but then there are other simple events. So when you normally ride, you keep riding as very simple, it becomes a boring thing. So you need to come up with different activities where there's a competition, there's a winner, there's a loser, 1, 2, 3, and all that, So that's how you keep the sport lively,
Okay.
Yeah.
Let's also talk about tent pegging, which is also a skill demanding sport, and you've done that also. So explain to us about tent pegging.
There's a wonderful history of tent pegging, and we Indians should be very proud of tent pegging. Tent pegging is a sport that evolved in India. So to give a background of what tent pegging is, see, basically in a warfare, when there is a war happening, the different teams will be settled in 2 different areas. And what happens is, normally you have the tents where the soldiers will rest overnight and all that. So normally you will have 4 pegs, where the tents have been anchored to the corners.
Okay.
So what it is basically, you will have 2 riders coming on either sides of the tent with the lance in it, So they will take the peg, which means you will, when you open the tent, you're basically exposing who's in there.
Okay.
So when two people are galloping and then taking the peg from the ground, it basically opens the tent. So if the soldiers are resting, the opponent team will come in and attack them. So this was a warfare thing, what was going. So when the wars, obviously the British came and there were no wars and all that. So, but they want to continue this kind of thing. So these days the sport is in such a way where, say for example, about 500 meters or whatever, a peg will be kept in a line, like 3 or 4 pegs will be kept, and there will be a line drawn next to it.
Okay.
So the basic criteria for a horse to take part in tent pegging is that the horse will be galloping in full speed. The thing is, the rider has to control the horse in one hand and have to hold the it's like your javelin stick basically. Yeah. Okay. So even swords can be used also. So you have to control the horse in one hand, and you need to have a good balance. But when the time when you reach the peg, you have to bend your body, take the peg, and then move.
Okay.
It's a very subtle sport actually. First, you should try it in a slower pace, and then you should take it at a higher, in a faster pace actually.
Okay. How is the scoring done for this sport?
So you will basically, a rider will have multiple runs. Say a team. There are team events and individual events here. When there is a team event, a team of 3 or 4 riders will gallop at the same time, where the pegs will be kept in the particular direction, but they will go in parallel to each other.
Okay.
So you should take the first peg in the row, not the second or the third.
Okay.
Yeah, that's not counted actually.
Oh, so only taking the first peg counts?
Yes, it does.
So why do we have this?
Well, that's every time you have to go and keep a peg, right?
Okay.
So when you have multiple ones, when someone takes the first, the second and third are still there, but the second person can come and take it.
Okay.
So just for the ease of it, actually, in some places they still have single peg actually.
Okay. So if 2 persons take the pegs, then who wins? Is there a timing or?
No, not timing. There are rules to it. So you have to take the peg, and the peg has to stand. Once you take the peg from the count, there's a crossing line.
Okay.
So you have to cross the line without falling and all. So sometimes the lance will touch the peg, but it will not take it out.
Yeah.
So that won't be counted actually.
Okay.
So there are rules to it actually.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So you will have multiple runs. Say for example, there are 4 runs. When say 20 riders are going through it, not all 20 will take every single peg.
Okay.
So only 1 or 2 riders will take 3 or 4 together. So that's like, there are a set of rules for it as well.
Okay.
Yeah.
So is there a specific training for the horse, or any horse you can just use it?
First, you should, obedience is very much required here, because the horse should not run in zigzag or whatever. So you should train the horse to run in a straight line.
Okay.
Obedience, again, discipline is very important here. And the horse should respond to you. When you want to slow the horse after you take the peg, so the horse should run in a straight line at a constant speed. If the horse is like too fast also, you can't focus your thing. So the horse should gallop in a straight line at a constant speed, where it will make the rider's life easy, where you can focus on picking the peg.
Okay.
So it's a very subtle sport, because you're taking with your shoulder. I mean, you're using your shoulder. If you don't do it properly, you can easily dislocate your shoulder.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, let's move on to this another sport called show jumping. And you said there are 5 phases to it. There is a different set of training for the horse and the rider. So what is this about?
See, show jumping is nothing but a discipline where a set of fences will be set in a course, and then the riders should go through the course in the specific order. So even before they start the course, the riders are allowed to walk the course, where they should memorize the sequence of the fences.
Okay.
So when you jump the first fence, after that there will be numbers to it actually on the fence, but still you should remember when you're riding the course. First, you should walk the course, and there will be set of fences where you should go through. Again, the height will vary from competition to competition, like 60 centimeters, 90 centimeters, meter 20, meter 40, and all that.
Okay.
So the concept is the horse should go through the rider, carry the rider, and then jump the fence clear. So the horse's leg can touch the fence, but the fence should not come down. So if a fence comes down, there's a penalty of 4 points actually.
Okay.
So you will be given a set of time, 120 seconds or whatever.
Okay.
And you should come through that course within that time. So if you go beyond the time, then you will be penalized. Say, for example, every 4 seconds, there is 1 penalty.
Okay.
Something like that, And every fence that gets dropped, there's a penalty of 4 points to you. Okay. Say, for example, there are 2 riders who are competing, or 3 riders. A rider comes clear within the time, he's clear. And one rider comes he has 2 fences down, which means 8 penalties for him. And say there's another rider who's also clear. So you can ask how will you judge this? So there's something called jump off. A jump off is nothing but which happens after the clear round is done. So that particular jump off is against the clock. So a jump off will not have all the fences like your regular round, but then it will have a minimum number of fences. But then you have to jump them against the clock. So which means you will go in a faster pace.
Oh, okay.
But the faster you go, the more chances of you hitting the fence are there.
Yeah.
So there's a lot more care to be taken. So that's where it is. It's a very technical actually. So you should go to faster pace. At the same time, you should clear those fences.
Oh, okay. Have you experienced dressage also?
Yes, dressage is very basic. So for any discipline of horses, basic schooling is mandatory. Let it be show jumping, let it be dressage and all that. So schooling a horse is basically dressage. But then a dressage is something where the sequence is already been given to you and you are performing the sequence based on what's given to you. It's like a script is given to you.
Okay.
You have to act it out. This is at a basic level. Obviously, you have freestyle dressage and all that. It gets really complicated and where you can have your own set of movements. So there will be set of judges. So here in show jumping, anyone can say who is the winner and loser by looking at the points. But in dressage, it's not like that. It's very technical. And you have set of judges, like 3 or 4 of them watching them. And each of these judges will have their separate scores. So all these scores will put together and then they come up with the results of who's the first, second and third and so on.
Okay.
Yeah.
So there are a lot of sports and there are a lot of breeds for each sport, dedicated to each sport.
Yeah.
And there is this thing called pleasure riding, which we just ride for pleasure, for our passion, hobby. We take it on trail or whatever. So if you had to choose one breed for pleasure riding of all these breeds, which would it be and why?
Personally, I would choose a Mawari for my pleasure riding because they are easy to keep. They gel with you easily and they're like, easily adaptable. I mean, any breed can be kept in a way, but my personal choice would be Mawari. Given the choice, see, the breed of horses that we have in India, as you know, are mainly Marwari, Kathiawari, Sindhi. And then you have the pony breeds like Spitties and Skari and all that. So we have, the choices are very limited to us. Either you get a thoroughbred, which is out of the race course, or you have a Mawari or a Kathiawar or a Sindhi, which you get from Sindhi region and Punjab area.
Okay.
So out of these, my choice would be normal because the Sindhis have this gated thing, Raval and all that. We will talk about it in a minute. So my choice would be Mawari. Again, Kathiawar is also very good.
Okay.
Only thing is Kathiawar's limitations are the size actually. They don't, because they are, even though they are smaller horses, they can carry good.
Because they are more stockier.
Yeah. The strong legs, very, wonderful animals. Even one of the first horses that as a child I had was a Kathiawar actually.
Oh, okay.
So I have ridden most of them. But right now I feel my choice would be Mawari to keep it. Even thoroughbreds can be kept in a way.
But what if hypothetically, if I tell you can choose any one breed in the world and
in the world, okay. My answer was predominantly towards with what we have in India.
Would it still be a Marwari?
No. My option would be an Andalusian. An Andalusian is a breed from Spain. So we call it Iberian horses. The Iberian
mostly
horses
they are grey horses, right?
Well, predominant color is grey, but then you do have bay and black. The predominant color is grey actually. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So why do you choose that horses?
Well, it's a dream to ride an Andalusian. I have ridden few of them in the past. Yeah, and there's another breed called Lusitanos also I've talked about. So Portuguese horses.
So how are they to ride the Portuguese horses and Iberian?
So they are stocky horses basically. They are slightly bigger and wider. And the movements are very good for dressage. For pleasure riding again.
They are warmbloods or?
Well, they are they're kind of warmbloods actually. They are from, that's why we call them Iberian horses actually. Okay. This is a separate breed actually.
They are more obedient than a hot blood like Nara.
Yeah, definitely, that's for sure. Well, obedient in the sense, yes, in a different way.
Okay.
Yeah, even the hot bloods are obedient, but they are more fire in them.
Yeah, got it.
Wherein if you look at the Andalusians and Lusitanos, the energy is contained actually. They perform in such a way. They are very strong animals.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So why I was asking about all these horse sports and then asked about the Marwari is because I wanted to talk about today's Indian horse scenario. We do have thoroughbreds and there is a separate community for that and they are doing all these race courses, things, races and all. But coming to the Marwari breed and Kathiawar also, even the native breeds in India, all the native breeds in India, I don't think they get the due recognition or they get the necessary work that is meant for them. We are still exhibiting them in shows. I'm not against shows, I'm all in for them because we need them for breeding, but we should not just stop them as show pieces. That is what I feel, and I ask this question to every single guest that I meet. What do you think we can do to improve this horse industry in India, and also find a proper work for the Marwari breed that is meant for them?
Very, it's a wonderful question actually. I mean, a lot of new people like youngsters who come into horses these days, they look into these horse shows and they feel like, this is what they meant for. Like where they take in, see, show, I'm not against, as you said, I'm not against the shows. But the purpose is just not to have them in shows. Even the show horses should be written is what my request is.
Okay. How do we, my question is, yeah, we have shows. We have lots of horses doing that. But how do we improve the Indian equine industry as a whole with our own breed? We do find some new sport, or we improve the existing sports like tent pegging. What should we do?
See, as you said, there should be a purpose for a horse to be used. That is when someone will have a motive to have a horse. So we do have our traditional sport like tent pegging, endurance and all that, where Marwari is very good in endurance races and all that. So we should find those kind of venues where the horses can be used and they have to be promoted. So it's not an easy thing to promote a show because it involves a lot of money, a lot of organizing and all that. So the good thing is these days, in the recent days, even in our space, in our part of the country, in South India, we have, endurance races are coming up. Even dressage and show jumping events are happening at a big level in Bangalore and in Coimbatore and Chennai and all that. So for people to have a purpose to have a horse, we need to conduct these shows.
Yeah.
Example like tent pegging, even Gymkhana events can also be held actually. Okay. So only then will people have that interest to own a horse, take them for a competition where they get recognized, where they get placed, and all that. So it's a very good question, or a huge question actually to be answered, where it is not an individual's thing. The entire community should come together, find a purpose. I mean, a lot of people, even from North India, like Sarpatap Singh, Boni ji and all that, so many people are trying to find these venues for our native breeds to be utilized in the sport.
Okay, because even the our native cattle breed, the Kangai breed, is also endangered, and unless we act upon it, we cannot preserve the breed because we lost the purpose. It was used for ploughing. It was used for a different sport called Jallikattu, and everything is diminishing now. And we need to put a lot of effort to maintain that breed alone. The same thing is happening to the Marwari breed. That is what I feel. Except for some few people who are rich and are who can afford to maintain such horses just for show purposes, it is not a thriving breed, that I would say, because in a well-established equine industry like in the US, you can see cowboys. They have an ecosystem within that. They have farriers who earn, they have veterinarians who earn, they have breeders who earn money, and they have trainers, groomers who earn money, and then they take it to sports like rodeo, cutting, reining, barrel racing. There are a lot of sports, and any horse that excels in it will earn a lot of money.
Absolutely.
And people pay to come and watch it, and then there are media sponsor deals based on that. There is an entire ecosystem for the
industry. That's the word. An ecosystem is built around horses where a lot of people have their livelihood out of it. That kind of thing is still not happening in India. As you said, only a few rich people are having a lot of horses, and even the farriers, again, this should come as a whole. I think there's some initiative being done, and there was an event in Pune wherein I was also invited, but unfortunately I couldn't attend that event because of my work situations. So we should come up with an idea where an ecosystem is created, farriers, grooms, trainers, transportation. There's multiple sectors that are involved in it. So all these should flourish. So only then someone can get into this, and then they can make a living out of it. So you're right, actually, that ecosystem has to be created, which is a huge question, and we need support from the government as well. The Indian government should also, and the local government should help us in promoting these kinds of events where people can, so only when you have events like that, there will be purpose for people to have horses. And then people who are dependent on these can survive through.
What kind of support do you think the government can lend, like providing stadiums or organizing events? What can they do?
Yes, space is one of the main big things to conduct an event. For example, even our Andiur show, every year we are facing issues. And what I'm talking about is on behalf of all the people from Tamil Nadu. Every year when the Andiur show is happening, it is a rainy season actually. Whenever it rains, it gets flooded and there's a huge issue.
Yeah.
So, for example, say the government is allocating a space which is close to by, which is not a non-clay area, which is even if it rains, the proper drainage system is there.
Yeah.
So, which means even if you have a heavy rain throughout the night, the next day the show can still happen.
Exactly.
The riders can still ride through the field and all that. So that's something we are actually facing this issue at a high, and it is a high time that we find a venue for this Andiur horse show. And if the government can step in and give us a space where it can be done, it'll be a wonderful thing. So it's not, as I told you, having a horse is different to organizing a show. It's a humongous task actually.
Definitely, but I think someday in the future it happens.
Yes, some politician might hear what we and me are talking, and then they can give some ideas, and then come up with some venues where we can do these things actually. So we need the support from the government to answer your question. Yes, we do.
Surely. Another thing I think is the more people come into riding horses, I think the community develops, and the more population there is, there will be a growth in the industry. But
Absolutely, as I said. So people should have just not to have a horse, but to ride a horse. So it should become a sport where it gets utilized. So there will be more demand to it. The more the demand, the more horses will be required.
Okay.
So we need to, in India specifically, we need to promote riding.
Got it.
So the promotion these days is happening in the way of having a horse and taking it for the shows rather than riding it. So I'm not again shows, again I'm telling you. Riding should be a part of anyone who has a horse is what my request is.
Got it. Talking about including more people into the horse community, I think we need more women in the horse community, because globally, as you have noticed, women are in equal numbers compared to men in the equine industry. There are equal number of women riders and other professions. But in India, it is still a male-dominated sport or community. What is your opinion on that?
It's a very good question actually, and it's one of the myths that we have in India.
Yeah.
See, if you look at a global level, as I told you earlier, and this sport is the only sport in Olympics where men and women compare at the same league. If you look at the numbers, this is based on my experience being in UK and in the US. There are more women riders than, or at least in par with the men actually. But when you look at India, there's more. It's a more male-dominated industry. The reason also being, we think that riding is something that you have to be you have to be strong enough. It doesn't mean that women can't ride it. To be honest with you, women gel with horses more easily than what men do. It's something that I have personally felt, and it is my experience actually.
Yeah.
So you have to connect to a horse. A horse is like a mirror. A horse basically reflects you. I'm still going slightly away from the topic from your question, but then when you approach a horse with the very pleasant feeling, it will respond to you. Again, you approach a horse with a very angry feeling, it will show its fear to you. So a horse is like a mirror. So again, for some reason, women tend to gel with them easily.
Yes.
Again, you have to understand the creature. You have to be very, you have to be sensitive to see what they feel and all that. So the question, coming back to the question, which is yes, in India, there are a lot of women riders. I'm not saying that there aren't actually, but then we should encourage women to come into riding.
Okay. So many women think it is not for women. It is a hard sport and it is a dangerous sport. So you are saying it is a myth, right?
It is definitely a myth. I mean, any sport, whatever men are doing, women are able to do. So there is no difference to a woman why they can't do it actually. So you're right actually. I mean, we have to break that myth and then bring in more younger riders, more women into the sport, and then they can again take it from the even if you look at profession, I think this generation of women are the working women who are coming out and doing a lot of things when compared to our parents.
Okay.
Most of the women were housewives and all that.
Okay.
So similarly, we have to encourage people or women to come into the sport. I mean, that's happening. I'm not saying it's not happening. It is happening, but then the percentage should increase from whatever it is right now.
Got it. Yeah. And there is this interesting thing called gait of a horse.
Yeah.
There is a walk,
Yeah.
then there is a trot, there is a canter and a gallop. There are in between transitions.
Multiple ways, yeah.
Yeah. But there is this thing called reval or a gait, ambling gait, and there is a trot. Many people confuse both these things. So what is the difference?
Okay. A rival is a gated horse. So to answer this question, I'll go a little back and then talk about the basics of a basic. There are 4 basic, gaits of a horse, what we call as walk, trot, canter, and gallop. A walk is a 4-beat gait. What I mean by that is at any given millisecond, the horse's hoof will touch, the 4 hoofs will touch the ground at multiple times. This is walk.
Okay.
Wherein a trot is a 2-beat gait. A trot wherein the diagonal legs of the horse will touch the ground at the same time.
You mean the front right and back left?
Yes,
front
absolutely.
left and back right.
Absolutely. So if you watch any video in a slow motion, you can witness what I'm talking about. Again, a canter is a 3-beat gait. So 1 foot, two legs and then 1 leg. So it's a 3-beat gait. Again, a gallop is a 4-beat gait, just like your walk. But since it's happening in a faster pace, you're not able to recognize it.
Okay.
So coming to the basic question, which is a difference between a rival and a trot.
Yeah.
So in trot, the diagonal legs touch the ground at the same time, wherein in rival, the legs on the same side will touch the ground at the same time. So what difference it makes to the rider is, in a rival, the ride is not shaken actually. Your seat will be very comfortable, as if you're sitting on a chair or a sofa, whatever, and then the horse will be moving around. So that's why a lot of riders prefer rival in North India, and the horses that they have here, like the Sindhis, even Katyavas, Mawas, they do this thing. Okay. But for a trot, you can sit in a trot, but it's called a sitting trot technically. But if you do it for a longer period of time, you're going to end up jerking your back, where people get back pains and all that. So for trot, you have to raise up and down, So as I told you, in the multiple gaits of a horse, trot is someone who's learning riding, trotting is the main thing that they should learn to.
One of the most difficult things.
Absolutely. Not difficult, it's important thing, I would say. So walking on a horse is simple. You sit on a horse, the horse walks. In trot is where you have to do the up and down, in a rhythmic way.
Okay, got it.
And then in canter also it's easy. When a horse is cantering, it's more comfortable. You sit in a horse and the horse will canter through, and you have to balance it out.
So you can do all these things without a saddle also, on a bareback?
Well, on a bareback, you can do walk, you can do canter, you can do gallop. These 3 can be done. Again, a gallop would be quite uncomfortable on the bareback. You need to have a lot of balance. But still, if you look in North India and Punjab and all that, they still have these races in the bareback.
Okay.
But safety-wise, I wouldn't recommend that. So you have to wear a helmet and all that. To do the up-down trot, it's not that easy.
Okay.
You need the stirrups where you can balance your legs in the stirrups, and then you have to do the up and down.
Okay.
Yeah.
So coming to that, then the position of the rider matters.
Yes.
More.
Yes.
So what is the ideal position of a rider on a horse? What are the seating points? What are the basics?
So there is no one perfect position on a horse. What I mean by that is, when you're walking on, when you're sitting on a horse, you should sit like a king. That is what I tell people when I teach children and all that. They should sit on a horse like a king. Not a pauper rides a horse, a king rides a horse.
Yeah.
So you should sit like a king. Chest out, shoulders back, hands together, toes up, heels down. These are basic positions of a rider.
Okay.
So that is for walking. And even when you trot, you should slightly bend forward along with the horse. And in a canter, you should sit upright. This is a sitting canter. Again, you can do a 2-point canter.
Okay.
And all that. In gallop, you can sit in the saddle, but it's very uncomfortable. That is why most of the people stand in 2-point. If you look at the jockeys, they stand in a posture called 2-point, we call it, wherein the stirrups are quite short.
Yeah.
The rider goes up. The horse will be running, wherein the rider is in a comfort position where he's balanced and all that.
Okay.
So different paces require the riders to be in a different position.
Okay. Again, understanding the mind of a horse is very important as a rider sitting on the top of a horse, because it can put you in danger also if you're not listening to it properly, because it is a large animal, 400 to 500 kg animal that you are relying on. And how do you think we should understand the mind of a horse and read its behavior?
See, a horse gives a lot of cues to you. For example, if a horse is folding its ears back, it means that the horse is not comfortable. It might either try to kick you, bite you, or even buck you or whatever. So as a rider, you should understand these things basically. And when the horse is its head is very low, which means, I mean, I'm not relaxing, but when a horse is too tired or not abnormal or whatever, it shows like that. And sometimes a horse will try to throw the rider off. Doesn't mean that the horse is mischievous. You have to understand something, whether something might not be right in it. For example, what I mean by that is even the saddle or the saddle pad or something might be disturbing the horse in a way that the rider is sitting on it.
Okay.
So a horse that is not cooperating doesn't mean that it is not cooperating. We have to find out what the problem is. Normally, predominantly, most of the horses will cooperate. Only a few horses, I mean, like humans, they have characters, Some horses will cooperate and some won't actually.
Okay.
So when a horse is doing something that's not good to the rider, you have to find out what's the reason behind that is. So you have to see. So you have to understand the horse in general. For example, if you haven't ridden a horse for, say, for example, couple of weeks, it's kept in a stable or in a paddock, and then you bring it out, it will show all its energy out. Okay. So what I would suggest is first you should lunge the horse for say 10-15 minutes, take that extra energy out of it, and then you sit on it and then ride it out.
Okay.
So it will give you a comfortable ride.
Because I've noticed many horses have this. There is this thing called barn soreness. A horse will not want to come out of its shelter and ride out outside the stable. It is comfortable inside the shelter. It has food, water. It wants to stay there. Once you put a saddle, it will reject you. It will do everything to throw you and get back into the shelter and be safe and comfortable. So there are signs that it shows, and as a rider, if we do not listen to it, it will throw you away. So are there certain things that you can do to prevent these barn soreness or bad behavior?
See, we humans have given the opportunity to get into that habit. A horse which is not regularly ridden is the one that will have this habit.
Okay.
A horse that has been regularly ridden will not have this habit. So it's like a system. You bring the horse into a system, it knows. Morning I get fed, I've been ridden later on, there's a rest time and all that. So you have to bring the horse into a system where it knows what's the routine is. If you haven't ridden the horse, say for a month or so, where it's kept in a barn and left, so you have told the horse that this is what your routine is. So we humans are setting that pace actually.
Okay.
And then we feel that when you try to take a horse out, I'm not saying you have to ride it every single day, but at the same time, the horse should understand what's the purpose of it is. You should teach it actually.
Okay.
And naturally, as you know, not all horses. Some horses are quite lazy. They just want to get into the barn, eat, and then rest, and they won't cooperate if riding.
Okay.
So the care should be where the care should be taken is, for example, when you're taking a horse into a riding arena or a paddock, they know the way where it comes actually. So normally when a horse goes through the exit gate or wherever, it tries to
get away.
Absolutely. Yeah. So at that point in time, the rider has to be a bit more careful in pulling the horse into the arena or whatever. I mean, being an extra cautious. That's it.
I also think we need to establish proper leadership to the horses early. Otherwise, they don't respect you enough if they don't accept you as a leader who knows what they are doing, right? What do you think?
So to answer this question, as I told you earlier, horses are herd animals. In a herd, there will be an alpha male and there will be a set of mares underneath it. So the horses are always governed by someone as a leader. So in riding, similar happens. The rider should, see, it's not dominating the horse, but you should say, I'm the boss. It doesn't mean to hurt the horse or whatever, but the horse should understand, yes, he's my rider, he's my boss, and I'm going to do what he's doing. So that connection has to be established. There's nothing like I'm the boss and you. So it's a partnership actually.
Okay, got it.
So the horse should understand that I have to work with the horse should accept you as your boss, or as I wouldn't say a boss, as your companion basically.
Okay.
If I have to put it in a diplomatic way.
There are also different methods of training.
Yeah.
There are people like Clinton Anderson who
Monty Roberts. There's multiple people there. Yeah.
A lot of people, but their training disciplines also differ. There is this person called Pat Parelli.
Yeah,
who
Pat
is,
Parelli.
Into free horsemanship, natural horsemanship. They train without even a bit. Bitless riding, saddleless. They just use a bridle and use it as reins. And there are different kinds. Is there a right way or everything is right?
See, there's no right and wrong way. If I have to go back in history a little bit, if you look into the practice of breaking horse, first the word breaking by itself is wrong. They call it breaking horse.
Okay.
Where they've used harsh ways of training the horse. Like they will make the horse lie on the ground, sit on it. They will fold the legs, tie in. There were harsh ways of doing it. So people like Monty Roberts, I mean, if you look into the history of Monty Roberts, he himself will tell his father used to train horses in a harsh way.
Okay.
Wherein as a boy, he used to look into it and then he came up with an idea that this is not the right way to train the horses, and then he came up with his own idea of breaking the horse or training the horse actually. So there are multiple ways actually, and no way is superior to one another. These are multiple ways, but the end result is the same. Wherein the horse is obedient to you, will listen to you, will perform what you want the horse to do. So the result is the same, but then the approach what they take might be different. Pat Parelli has his own way of horsemanship. Clinton Anderson has his own way of doing it. Monty Roberts has his own way of doing it. I've personally practiced Monty Roberts. They call it join up actually. So you put the horse in a paddock, and this is a set of routine, and then the horse will basically come to you. So I mean, to answer the question, yes, there are multiple ways, but the end result is the same. So it's up to you. Whoever you like, you can practice actually, and then try it out.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Interesting thing you mentioned earlier. You actually covered a video of an early Pushkar fair when Toofan was alive, and I think there is some very rare footage now circulating online, and mostly nobody knows that it is actually yours. It is a video footage of Toofan,
Yes.
which is extremely rare to find nowadays.
Yeah.
You say that you have the entire footage of the Pushkar fair with you, and it was just a clip of that.
Yes.
You were one of the earliest people to document those things on a video.
Yeah.
So can you share with us that experience?
Yes, it was a wonderful experience. This was back in 2003. We riders from Chennai, about 8 of us or 10 of us, we moved. We went to Pushkar to buy horses actually for a riding club and for a personal purpose actually. And this was this stallion ring, I think. It was the stallion ring, and I was in those days we didn't have these sophisticated cell phones and all that. We used to have these handy cams actually. So I had one of those handy cams with me, and then I was documenting the stallion ring. And there was this one particular horse which looked really majestic, and I never knew it was Toofan, whatnot. And I was the one who was taking the video, and one of my friend was going through it, and then I was just saying, "Oh, look at that wonderful horse" and all that. That's when two people were bringing Toofan through it, and that's the common. Actually, it is my video. I have a full video of the Pushkar fair in 2003. How the rings used to look like, the fair used to look like. I can share the link also later on. So Toofan was coming into it, and then it looked fantastic. The neck, the high arched. It was a beauty. In fact, Toofan was quite old in that show. It was not in his prime.
Oh, he was already old.
He was old actually in 2003.
3, okay.
Yeah, and that is I think there are a couple of videos of Toofan that people have, and one of the videos is, and a lot of people have. I had it in my YouTube and in my Facebook page, but some people have taken a clip of it and then they are having it. But anyways, this is good. I was really fortunate to have Toofan in the video, and there are other good animals also. Whatever the lines they are talking about these days, those also were in that video.
Okay,
So,
maybe
anyways,
if we get to see the video, we can identify them today.
Yes. A lot of these old breeders will definitely know. For example, there were quite a few gentlemen who are still breeders. Ajay Vikram Singh, he was in the video. He was showing his horse there. So there were a lot of these old breeders were there in that show actually.
Okay.
Even the show by itself was very simple. They had just these bullies tied around, and the horses has to be have been taken around, and it was very simple. But the quality of horses that came through was fantastic. I mean, we were completely blown by the beauty of Mawaris during those days, and we did purchase a couple of horses from there during that fair.
Okay. Yeah. I think I hope that through this podcast, people will be able to see the video that you shared, that you took, and finally get a sense of how it used to be compared to today.
Yes, definitely.
Okay. So there is this thing called being a good horse rider and being a good horseman. So what do you think is the difference of being between being a good horse rider and being a good horseman? What is it?
It's a very good question. To be a good horseman, you don't have to be a rider. But to be a good rider, you have to be a good horseman. That is my take. Because when you ride a horse, you should know the basics of the horse. A good horseman can be on the ground and still train a horse and do things.
Yeah.
But a rider has to be on the horse. See, your horse is not like your bike or a car or whatever. You just sit on it and then ride it. You have to understand. You have to make the connection with the horse. So to make that connection, you have to be a good horseman. So yes, there's a difference between the two. As I told you, my opinion would be a horse rider should be a good horseman. And a good horseman can be a good rider. It doesn't mean that, but even without riding the horse, he can be a good horseman. Actually,
Horseman.
yeah.
Okay, got it. If someone is going to buy a horse today, someone is watching this video who wants to buy a horse someday, who wants to learn, what would your one advice be for that person?
First of all, they should learn the basics of a horse, how it's to be fed, how it's to be kept, and all that. You might have the interest to have a horse, but you might not have the infrastructure to it, which I believe a lot of people are like that, unfortunately. So you should know that the minimum space required to have a horse, the kind of exercise that a horse needs to be given, the kind of feed that a horse to be fed, and all that. So that knowledge is very much important for someone to start with horses. See, once you have that knowledge, doesn't mean, to have that knowledge, first of all, you have to get along with someone who is already having a horse, trying to understand what they do. You can easily learn from it. Or even you can join some of the riding clubs where they have horses. From there, you can learn it. So once you do that, then you have the knowledge of what the horse is about and how to keep it and all that. Then you go off buying a horse. My suggestion is never go for an expensive horse straight away. Some people, they say, oh, I have got plenty of money. Why should I go for a basic horse and all that? In the early days, I would suggest your mistakes can be taken at with horses that are less expensive. But say, for example, you buy a very expensive horse to start with, but then a silly mistake has been done and, it's going to cost the life of the horse. It's not something that I would recommend. So start with some basic horse. Again, the better horse is the more spirited also. You need to understand.
Okay.
You should be able to handle that horse, or even this is from a riding point of view. Once you buy a very good riding horse, like a sport horse, you as a rider should be able to handle that horse. So what I would suggest is you should evolve with the horse. So start with the basic horse in terms of even breed characteristics or even the rideability and all that, and you work your way up. Because no one is going to learn everything straight away from the first day. There'll be a lot of mistakes. There'll be a lot of learning that happens. So you have to go with the journey, and to buy a horse, there are fairs where you can go and buy a horse. You have to be a bit careful also when buying a horse, because you have to look for the soundness of the horse before you buy the horse. What's the plus and minus to it? So approach someone who is quite transparent about things. See, even paying a little more is not a problem, but whoever is selling should be transparent enough to explain there's nothing called a perfect horse.
Okay.
No, strike the word perfect.
Okay.
Just like humans, we have our flaws. Horses have their flaws. It's not even flaws. Something that you expect, they don't have it.
Yeah.
So there's nothing called a perfect horse. So keep that in mind.
It is like finding a life partner.
Absolutely, absolutely. It goes with every aspect of our life,
Yeah.
whatever it is.
It is. I also think it is like a beginner getting a high-end horse is like someone learning to drive and wants to learn to drive with a Ferrari.
Absolutely. That's a disaster.
You can't handle it.
No, true. You're right. So when you start driving, you start with the Maruti 800 or whatever the smaller cars, and then you work your way up, and you work your way up, and then
Yes.
you handle things.
That's very true.
Yeah, got it.
Let's talk about breeding. I'm not talking about breed-specific breeding. There are breed experts who know which bloodline will suit for which bloodline, which you have to cover for which, and those things and all. But in general, what do you think? How do you think we should breed a horse and avoid certain basic breeding mistakes with a horse so that the progeny has a good conformation, good skill, good mind, and we are able to get proper work from it?
Okay. Breeding is a huge discussion on its own, but to keep it at
a basic
level, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So there should be a purpose for breeding. It should not be like I have a horse, let me breed it out. No, that's where things go wrong. First, you should have a knowledge. Say, for example, if you're a rider, you have a riding horse and you have a mare which can be bred. So you have to look into for a riding horse, you need the soundness of the horse is very important. See, the horse might have the best ears, best neck, but if any one of the legs are not, say, toe in toe or whatever, that's going to the probability again, the progenies might get that feature into it, and then that might not be good for riding. So there should be a purpose for riding. What is the purpose of your breeding? Is it for shows? Is it for riding? Or is it just for my pleasure? I just want to keep it like a pet. That's different. So what I would suggest is, again, a mare, breeding is a skill on its own, actually. It's an art.
Yeah.
So whatever flaws a mare has to be complemented by the stallion. Say, for example, You have a horse that's years are not good enough, so you have to breed it with a stallion which has got good years. The probability is that the progeny will have a better years like the father. So you have to see the flaws or whatever that has to be corrected in a mare, and you use a stallion on the mare accordingly.
Okay.
Again, a lot of these days people are going for the height of the horse,
Exactly.
which personally I am against it, because you're trying to disturb the breed. See, a Marwari is supposed to be of a certain height. Now, people think the bigger the horse, the better the horse is. Actually, that's completely wrong. A horse has to be in a proper proportionate way. What I mean by that is, for a neck of this size, the body length should be this size, the girth should be this size, the leg should be so and so. So if you're purely breeding for the purpose of height, then you're compromising on a lot of things actually. The progeny, what you're going to get might be a bigger foal, you have a bigger horse, but that doesn't mean it's a proper horse. Everything should be put together. You know, a horse will look beautiful when it is let out in the field only if it is in a proper way. You know, as I told you, everything has to be in the right place.
Yeah, that's true.
So breeding for just the height, and people who are coming into the new industry, they get fooled by this. Oh, this horse is this much height, or this is going to cost you this much and all that. So I'm against it, because you're basically spoiling the breed. Because again, that horse will be used to breed another. You know,
True.
so basically it is going to disturb the entire breed. So there should be purpose for your breeding, and before someone breeds a horse, they should have knowledge about what the breeds are. I mean, what the breed is about and all that, and they can breed. I mean, breeding is a gamble actually. You might.
Yeah, it is just a probability.
It's a probability, exactly. Yeah.
So again, if there is one thing that you would like the Indian horse culture to change for good, if there is one thing that you would say, what would it be?
People, first of all, should improve their knowledge about horses rather than trying to have, I've got 3 horses, 4 horses, that's the thing. So I would put knowledge first and then having the horse second. So if people can improve their knowledge about what equine industry is, what a horse is, and then have horses, they will enjoy the horse more, as well as the horse will be kept in a better way. So that's something, that knowledge about what horses are, what horse riding is, how to keep the horse, what's the kind of disease that the horse gets, what needs to be fed. So my thing is, the knowledge about horses is the predominant thing that people should have, rather than having X number of horses or whatever. So that needs to change. I'm not saying not many people are not having the knowledge, but the percentage of people who are knowledge enough to have horses should improve. Predominantly the breeders who are breeding, because they are the ones in the front line who are breeding the horse, and they're bringing the next generation and all that. So the breeders should not look at things from a commercial point of view. Yes, there has to be a commercial point of view, but at the same time, they should not sacrifice on the breed characteristic.
Okay.
So that's which I feel in the last probably 10-15 years, it's getting lost for from a commercial point of view. So if that can change, I'll be very happy.
Is there also any positive signs that you are noticing in the horse industry in the last 5-10 years?
Well, there's more interest of people into horses, which is good, because only if people have interest, they will have, someone has to have the passion to have a horse.
Yeah.
So that is good actually, which is good sign. A lot of people are having that interest, and obviously the social media is taking things to a different league, where anyone sitting in a room can, see what's happening and know things and all that. So yeah, that's good. I mean, the industry is growing.
Okay.
But I would rather be, more knowledgeable about what things are, and then take it from there, rather than just for the sake of it, they shouldn't be doing it. That's the point. Yeah.
Okay. I really hope it happens.
Yeah.
Do you have a dream for the Indian horse culture and community? And if so, what is one thing that you would like to see India and the Indian horse culture community doing in the next 10 years?
Well, comparatively, when compared to the Western countries, we are still lagging behind in the knowledge. And also the breeds of horses actually, because our horses are specifically meant for certain purpose actually, war and all that. So what we can do with our breeds is something that it's limited. So what I would suggest is, even with our breeds, we can do wonders like dressage, ten pegging, endurance and all that. So I would like for example, cricket is, how crazy people are about cricket.
Yeah.
So there should be more interest from people about riding, where things are happening. So awareness, actually, basically awareness about horse riding and the kind of benefit it brings to a person on their own. I mean, I've personally seen so many children who come into riding. When they start, they are like quite skeptical and very, kind of very shy. But then once they start riding, they show the kind of confidence they show.
Okay.
So I think I'm a sports person myself. I play most of the sport. I mean, even today I'm playing regular tennis in a competitive way. So I've played most of the sports actually, and riding is something no other sport can be compared to.
Okay.
No other sport can teach you like compassion, leadership, confidence, empathy. There's so many things you can learn because any sport like football, tennis, whatever, you are playing either with the humans, with the ball and thing. But here you're interacting with another creature. You have to understand their mindset, their emotions.
Got it.
So riding cannot be compared to any other sport in my opinion, and it is way apart from it.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we've come to the end of the conversation. We've talked a lot about horses, the community culture in general. I know we can talk about horses for hours and hours and still
Absolutely.
not get tired, but it has been a wonderful conversation. I think you've said a lot of valuable information, and it will be a good awareness for new aspiring horse owners also. And it was a great conversation. What do you think?
Thank you. It was a wonderful opportunity for me because the kind of awareness that people are having these days was not there. People like yourself who take these podcasts and bring it to the general public. This is what will bring that awareness to people. The right kind of knowledge actually, rather than so I'm very happy to be here, part of this show. And I really thank you for giving me this opportunity. I hope youngsters who see this video get inspired. They come into horses. I mean, even people who are already in horses get the right kind of knowledge as to what it is, and then take things in the right way.
So thank you so much for the conversation today. Thank you. Now.
Pleasure. Thank you.